So my friend BJ introduced me to a new genre of games, these really puzzly games. Like we played this game called Corridor, and it's a wooden pieced game where you're putting out walls and you can move or put out a wall and block, your opponent or yourself or all that sort of stuff. It's a really great game. So it introduced me to this whole concept of puzzle games, which is what Dokmus is. Dokmus is in fact not what it looks like on the outside. On the outside, it looks like this crazy game like Raja the Ganges or Agra, but in fact, this is a very puzzle game where the theme doesn't matter at all. So let's look right now at what Dokmus does, how it plays, and we'll come back up and talk about how we like Dokmus after this is over. So what is Dokmus exactly? Well, this is Dokmus and the expansion Return of Erefel. We'll talk more about this in a little bit because it's already inside of here. Dokmus, it looks super thematic on the front, right? Look at that box art. Really incredible looking Indian-inspired art, but definitely weird when you come down to it because you are tokens. You have tokens and you're trying to found and reclaim the island of Dokmus by sending blessings to the gods and all such as that. But these are your pieces. 4-player colors, standard, blue, red, green, yellow. This is where it gets cool though. You have these tiles. Now the tiles are how you set the game board up. So I'm going to show you what a game board looks like set up for 2 players just like this. So this is what the game looks like set up just like this. You take your tiles, and these are 2 different colors here. One person gets to place their tile on one of the edge spaces of a tile. The next person, in reverse player order, gets to place their token out on another tile. Now, it can't be on the same tile, but it does have to be on an edge space. So what do these spaces mean? Well, really, in your turn, you can do one of 2 things. You can either place a tile, or place a token, I should say, or you can sacrifice a token, which when you do, they go over here to the sacrifice token spot, so you actually get points for the type of token sacrificed, or the amount of tokens sacrificed at the end of the game. The third action you can do on your turn is one of these gods tiles here. Now, the way these work are pretty sweet. Notice that the board has an empty gap here. Now, this is for 2 players, and 3 players and 4 players and up, you would have these 3 spaces filled. This is like a sliding puzzle. So Dokmus is actually Kingdom Builder meets a sliding puzzle. So the actions you can do with your god cards, with this one, he lets you slide a tile. So you'd be able to move a tile over like this, or whatever, just into that gap. You say, now what is the benefit of that? We'll talk about that in just a minute. So this piece is the rotate a tile god card. The way that works is it's pretty simple. You pick up a tile, you rotate it 90 degrees. Now this has a lot to do with things like water, because if water, when you go to place another tile, another token, what you do is you just place it out adjacent to one of yours. When you place out a token adjacent to yours, you can place 3 in a turn and then it passes to the next player. If you're going to cross water, you would actually have to sacrifice one of your tokens over to here, and then you can place your next token in an adjacent space to the water. So now you could go into the ruins. The ruins give you the ability to use one of your god cards again. But the next thing you could do is just a normal placement action, or when you're placing adjacent to a temple, let's say you were here on your turn, when you go to place your next one, if this temple is here, you can then place it any space adjacent to that temple orthogonally, so you could go there. You can never place it on a temple. The whole point is temples get you points, so each one you have adjacent to a temple at the end of the game scores your point. But it's not each token, it's each temple you have something adjacent to. So forests are the same way as water. Once you go in them, you would have to sacrifice one to put one down into the forest. Now, you then, as long as you have a token in the middle of the forest, you can place it adjacent to another one in the forest without having to sacrifice, as long as you have a token in the forest. Now, the third one here that we skipped earlier is move a tile. The way this works is, on your turn, you can play this to pick up one of your tiles and move it somewhere else, like that. But it has to be adjacent to one of your other ones there that you're moving it. So here's the interesting thing, though. You do not pay the penalty to sacrifice, so you would be able to just pick that up and move him into there. Volcanoes are these spots here. Once you place on a volcano at the end of the round, they get sacrificed. So you could use them to kind of leapfrog, assuming you did this, assuming you said 1, 2, and then 3. Let's just say you did that. At the end of the round, this one's going to get sacrificed, but you were able to make that jump. And that's all the places. Now, in a 1 and larger player game, there are these 2 as well. This one's choose another god power. This one you take the first player marker. In a 2-player game, it just passes each round. So not really much to talk about with that. This one just allows you to choose one of the other ones. The initiative order is the order in which you really go, though. So you would actually, this first player marker only gets to pick the token, gets to pick their god card first, but this is actually what determines the round order in the turn. The last god card in the expansion for Return of Erefel is this card, Erefel. His number basically matches the highest one turned over that round, but he allows you to cross water or to cross a forest without sacrificing a card. So it's kind of a neat little power. Now the other things the expansion adds are these season cards, and these are pretty cool because it's 4 different seasons or 4 different weather type things. You have winds, sun, water, and one more. Wind, sun, water, and ice. Now these all do different things. So for instance, when you place down, when the ice is here, each one of these is adjacent. So water in this tiles adjacent to this one are frozen. So when you would go to place here, you would slide across the ice and you wouldn't have to sacrifice one. Better example would be this, when you slide across there like that. When you're adjacent to the sun tile, you can, when you use a ruins tile, remember a ruins area, when you land on a ruins area, it allows you to use your god card again. You would not have to use the god card on the tile you placed onto the ruins. That's normally a rule. So if you had your god card, the one that twists one, you would place this here, you would get to twist this tile. But if you're adjacent to the sun's one, you could do it to any of the tiles if you needed to. One new thing that the expansion offers also are these roads. When you place a token here, you can place it 1 space further along the road. It also limits you from having to sacrifice somebody. This tile, though, speaks to that. This is the tile for wind, and the way it works is when you place, you get to place 1 space further. So if you're on a road, you would get to space 2 spaces further than you would normally get to place a regular pasture tile. Meadow, you would get to place only 1 space further. This one is the water tile. The way it works is it treats everything adjacent to it, all 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of any tile adjacent to it, as a large, giant body of water, which would mean that you could cross from here anywhere over to here by sacrificing 1 of your people. And that is all the expansion offers. That's everything new. So let's talk in-game scoring. The way it scores is pretty simple. Each token that you have on a ruin is worth a point. The temples, remember the temples where the whole point is to discover the temples. Each one you have discovering a temple gets you points, but it's not each token, it's each temple you've discovered. So if you had this, you would still only score 2 points. So small temples are worth 2 points, large temples are worth 3 points. Each map tile in which you've discovered all the temples, so if you had something like this set up, you would get 8 victory points for that. Then you count the amount of different map tiles on which the player has discovered at least 1 temple, and you get points based on that. So you've scored 4 here, so it's worth 10 points there. Just like that. So the rest of it is scoring based on the sacrifice tokens. The person who has the most sacrifice gets more points than the rest of them. So it's actually a benefit to sacrifice your tokens. Not a super benefit, but that's one thing. So that's how you play Dokmus right there. So that's it. I mean, it's a puzzle game. It's not like it's no theme. It doesn't matter. The theme does not matter at all. It could be chickens in a hen house moving around or something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's not a theme game. Just know that ahead of time. It's okay. It's not my favorite puzzly game. I think Carla and I actually like Kingdom Builder a little bit better, which is a different style game necessarily. I like that corridor game a lot better too. But there are also different genres, different styles. But this one does some really cool things that I do like. For instance, I've been playing the NES game Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade a lot, and the Venice level is a sliding puzzle to figure out where the chalice goes. I remember playing that as a kid, and so I've been playing it really a lot lately. But anyway, that whole idea of a sliding puzzle, I've never seen that in a board game, so I like that concept of where you have the blank spot on the board and you can slide that piece over. So when someone thinks, oh good, I'm about to get onto the, okay, never mind, you just slid the piece completely away from me. I think that's a cool concept, and I like that it's doing something new. Like you can spin them. I think you need to get the expansion really just because it adds those other tiles to theme it up a little bit more, you know, the ice, the wind, the rain, and all that, or whatever, the ice, the wind, the water, all that sort of stuff. You need that more. Having the Erefel, I just blanked on the name, but having that extra god tile is pretty nice too, because it gives you another power. So I just think there's no reason to not play with the expansion. I think you always need to play with that expansion. For Dokmus. So that's Dokmus and its expansion. Go check it out if you like this kind of puzzly sort of game. Again, it's got a really cool mechanic of that whole sliding puzzle deal, and see if you like it. It plays pretty fast, and it's really thinky and really puzzly. So that's Dokmus from Renegade Games. Go check it out. This is Bryan Drake with the latest retro right here.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.